Hey everyone, welcome to Coorlas Architecture. I'm Stephen Coorlas, owner and architect. Today we're going to take a look at a lake house remodel project. We're going to start with some sketching and then we're going to transfer those sketches into our 3D model in Revit. I already have the existing conditions modeled up, so we're just going to be focusing on a conceptual layout with some renderings. So let's jump right in. Alright, we've got a very unique floor plan, but we already know this is going to be the primary bedroom. This is the living space. And then this wing over here is getting divided into two large bedrooms for visiting families. Front entry is kind of strange. There's two large garages. So I'm recommending to close them off and combine them so that both garage doors are coming into this space here, which means the other garage can be closed off, and we're going to make that into the front entry sequence with a set of double doors. And the reason behind that is there's a view to the lake out this window here. So I'm going to try and align a corridor there. We've got some additional programming can go in this corner here just by sort of squaring it off. A pantry, closet at the top, and then washer dryer. And then I know I'm also going to want to fit some storage closets for the foyer area. So we'll add in some walls, something that looks sort of like that. And we're going to have to eliminate a couple of walls, put some headers in if they're load bearing, which I'm pretty sure that one is. And I also want to add a step in the garage that acts as sort of a curb for a curb stop. And that means that we'll also have a step up in the foyer area that cuts across there. We're going to have the kitchen layout is going to be pretty simple L-shaped kitchen. We'll get into the details as we start modeling things up, but a large kitchen island, and then the space to the right here, we'll just do a large kitchen table where the homeowner wants to be able to feed their entire family for parties and just typical nightly dinners. And the adjacency there also has a better relationship with this living space. So we're going to close this wall off here, bump out a little wall for a recessed fireplace and TV nook, put a large sectional sofa in with a coffee table, maybe a chair. And this bathroom area has a little bit of reconfiguring to do. We'll talk about that while we're doing the Revit model. We're going to demo out this wall here. We're going to basically carry a solid wall all the way across to create a corridor and divide these two rooms into two large bedrooms with 4 beds each, or 2 sets of bunk beds each. They'll each have a closet with a door coming in and a little closet over there. So that's the idea. Let's try and bring this into Revit and realize it. Okay, so here's our model. Like I mentioned, I've got everything already modeled up, the existing conditions. If you're familiar with our process, we use Magic Plan to take our surveys. I export a DXF drawing, import it into Revit, and then basically just remodel all of the walls, windows. It's critical for full house remodels like this because we do have a lot of floor level changes. Roof planes, ceiling planes kind of conflict in odd areas, so you don't want to propose anything that's going to become an issue later on during construction. So here's the model and where we're at. Here's just a quick photo kind of for reference. And just to re-explain, I'm starting to actually reorient the project from this position so that we can look more from the perspective of entering the home from this new entry point into and through the what is now the garage, what will be a mudroom, and then into the kitchen area, which will have a view to the lake. So here's where we're at, and here's the floor plan. Let's start to model in some of our walls. So I'm actually just going to start with some detail lines to get us just a little bit of an idea of where these walls should lay out in terms of actual dimensions. So here I'm just taking a line perpendicular to there. I know we're going to be coming into this entry, and then I want something like a 5-foot width opening, which should be sizable. Decent enough to have, you know, wingspan, arm span as you're moving through the hall with a couple people. And then I'm actually going to offset that because I do want to do a row of bench seating, storage racks, hooks for coats and things like that. So I'm just going to take 2 feet, copy that line, offset it. So maybe that's my opening, that's my bench width, and then here's a wall. So it's actually a pretty short wall. Might be able to just bring that wall directly here without this little short nub wall, but we'll take a look at that, how that plays out. So next I'm going to take these lines and just start to draw out the cabinets. 2 foot depth will start. I like to do 30 inches, but that's sort of a luxury item if you have the space. So I'm just going to start with the 24-inch cabinet depth. And like I mentioned, the owner wants a little seating area in terms of like a kitchen office desk where she can write out recipes and just kind of sit and do some housework. And she wants that located in the kitchen. So we thought that would be nice to have sort of located in this area, so she also has a view to the lake. That's a lot of counter space, so feeling pretty comfortable about that so far. We're going to give a spacious 4-foot corridor between some of the work utility items on both sides, just to start, and then close off that. So that would be a pretty sizable kitchen island. Let's see where we're at with that. Yeah, 8 feet is good. Obviously that's way too wide. So this is becoming a corridor kind of to take you from this bedroom area over into the kitchen, dining area, and then living area. So I think we want this to be a minimum of 4 feet, but I just want to see what 5 feet looks like, how small that would make. So 5 feet might be nice. So it's great to use these detail lines also to just start to plan out your layout. It's great to sketch, but you know, sometimes your sketches are not dimensional, so it's important to just get these dimensions on paper and looking right. So we like to line things up, like the edge of the counter and the cabinet. We're going to have the sink in the island, so that should work for now. I'm going to take a filled region and just make a big long table. The owner wanted a large dining table that could host the entire family, so we're going to put that in. Make it 4 feet wide. It's just nice to kind of oversize these things to start with, and then you can always shrink them as you go. So that works pretty nice, and hopefully you are starting to see this layout kind of emerge here with the entry sequence coming in through this door and then sort of opening up with the view to the lake, kitchen to the left, living space, dining area to the right. And let's move into this area, start demolishing some bedroom walls here. What's happening here is this one bedroom with that large sort of walk-in closet is going to be split into 2 bedrooms. So that's fine, we can actually keep that wall. I wanted to take this all the way across. We'll use our align tool. And then for that little area, I was thinking just making a nice closet at the end of the hallway there. So we can slide that over there, clear the window. Do some alignments, and we'll see where we're at. Okay. This would likely become a bifold or just a smaller door. Let's see if we get a 24-inch door that opens out, if that's what we can fit there. So that might be nice. And usually representationally for these drawings, if there's a door swing that looks like it's conflicting with sort of a desired feature, for instance, this hallway width, I want my client to be able to see that it's a clear hallway width that gets you from this access door all the way down and then into the bedrooms. This is actually a door here, and so I closed the swing to 0. But if I opened it up, you can see it's 90 degrees, it's open, it's clear of everything, but visually it just sort of obstructs this idea of the constant flow moving through there. So that's a nice little trick, just being able to control these door swing angles. Same thing for this one. I sort of found the angle that this wall was to the door hosted wall and just made it the same angle, so it lines up nicely, looks nice and neat. We might actually just take that door off and let it be a framed opening into this corridor area, but regardless, that's what you can do there. So we're going to find the midpoint of this wall, which it should just be the center of, let's see if it gives us a nice easy there, triangle, there we go. So I would just like to measure it just to double check. Don't want to start doing all my drafting on walls that are not equally spaced. So 25, 5 1/4, okay. This is going to be our separating wall. It looks like I have the do not allow join attached there, so I'm going to change that. Bring this wall to meet this face. And those are our 2 bedrooms. Pretty sizable. We've got windows, and they want to fit 2 bunk beds, 2 sets of bunk beds in each room. So there'll be 8 total beds, which I think is great and is totally doable. They are aware that they will more likely than not conflict with the windows, but that's okay. If it's desired by the client to have that much sleeping area, then that's what they get. So with closets too, just thought it'd be easiest to make it symmetrical in terms of bumping in a little closet there, do some bifold doors that clear a little space in front of the beds, and then you've got plenty of space for the beds, the closet, and a little bit of space in between everything. So let's shift our attention back towards this area. So in this area, we wanted to flip, basically there's a full bath in this bathroom, and then this little area is just a powder room, which is off of this room, and so we want to make a full bathroom for the ensuite. So we have to find a way to open up this whole area and basically get the tub, which is located in this corner, into this bathroom and still have a accessible closet for the bedroom. This room does not need a closet, so we're going to make some of those changes and come back and talk about them. Okay, so that was quite the little design exercise here, converting this very strange shaped space that had 2 closets and a powder room and full bath. We flipped them, managed to get a what is it, a 60 by 36 inch shower pan in there. We've got a duct shaft in this location, so that works out well to kind of bump it out further away from the toilet. An existing toilet that's going to remain. The vanity shifts with this plumbing wall, so there's plenty of space in this area to get out of the shower, put a shower bar there with a towel rack, and do your morning, evening routine and come out. We've got a walk-in closet here, which it's an odd shape, but affords you more linear shelf square footage, or linear footage, where we couldn't fit it in here. And we got the powder room with a door opening outward, with the toilet in the same place and the vanity. So I think we're going to shift gears and get into a little bit of the kitchen design and layout now. It looks like we've got plenty of space there, so I don't anticipate having any issues there, but let's do some modeling and then check out where we land. Okay, so I went ahead and dropped in some placeholders from some other projects that had similar layouts. I've got the island, I've got a sink, which I need to switch into the island, the refrigerator, the cooktop, hood. So basically all of my kitchen elements, and I'll start massaging them around, but you know, it's important to continue looking at all these things in 3D and from multiple views. Designing from plan view is one thing, but when you're in the space, it's a totally different feeling. So I have this perspective view set up that I will continue to toggle back and forward from, but since there's a big opening here to the left of the kitchen, which is kind of our big entry moment, that's going to make a big difference in how we perceive some of the elements that are up on the wall or just the configuration of the entire kitchen. So I want to make that opening in the wall just to start, and again it's kind of a balance of bouncing around from all these different aspects of the remodel. So I do know that I want this opening in the wall, so we should definitely cut that in so we can sort of factor that into our design moment. So for that, I'm going to take this wall, just snip it, and then I'm going to copy that middle component. I always like to disallow the join of walls that are being demolished so that it's just a little bit easier to control. And I know I wanted a 5-foot opening, so it was going to look something like that. And if I go back into my standard view here, I can see there's massive opening there. So definitely starts to make you look at the layout a bit differently. And like I mentioned, if the wall is protruding on the left side of this opening for that pantry storage, then maybe it's okay to actually have some taller storage, maybe even the refrigerator along this side, and from this viewpoint putting the hood and the oven range on that back wall. So it's just going to depend on the layout and how much counter space we have. So just a quick perspective view, rotating this along this hallway, looking there. My concern with this was that this pillar basically here between the two bay windows was going to be like almost in line with your view. So I do want to see if I can scooch this opening over a little bit. So I'm going to pop in some walls and then we'll come back and kind of take a look at what it's starting to shape up to look like. Alright, so I did quite a bit of work off camera just because some of these wall layouts and populating the model with Entourage takes a lot of time, and I know it's not that fun to kind of sit through and watch. But anyway, we talked about this area and the configuration of walls, so I wanted to just do a quick overview with you guys to show where I ended up here. The previous garage, this whole zone here was a previous garage, and I put the garage door on a demolition layer, popped some entry doors in, and just populated this with the series of rooms that I had talked about with the client. So we know with the entry foyer, we want a lot of storage. It sounds like there's multiple families that are going to be visiting here a lot, so probably preferred to have separate storage closets at the entry. The whole configuration of this, there's a lot of kind of psychology behind it, with the exact angle of this stair kind of matching the concrete step in the garage. You know, trying little things like having it parallel with this wall and having it parallel with this wall gave different effects for how this hallway started to feel in like a 3D view, so I'll show you that. But progressing along here, after you step up, the ceiling height does compress down because it was a lower ceiling height in the garage area, and I know I wanted to have everything raised at least up level with the rest of the primary floor elevation. So we've got a little bit of a compressed zone, which I don't think is such a bad thing. We've got the pantry here that is accessible in this zone, and the laundry room. So there's no stepping down in this area. It's an open, framed opening into the kitchen and dining area here. And the kitchen layout, you know, it's a first pass. Your clients will always want to make some adjustments and changes if you haven't nailed down every, you know, last detail before your first pass, so that's totally okay. It's a typical L-shaped kitchen with a very large island, and I was just going through and constantly making adjustments to make sure that we had decent sized corridor widths. So 4 feet is always really great, especially when you have the sink at the island and an oven behind that zone, refrigerators opening up into walk aisles. 4 feet is going to be a really spacious kind of dimension for any aisle width in the kitchen. And then, as I mentioned before, we did have the width to do it. So I proposed the 30-inch countertop where you can use standard 24-inch cabinets, set off the wall 6 inches, use a ledger board against the back wall, and just kind of suspend your countertop over the edge to rest on that ledger board there. But so anyway, these kitchen drawings, like I said, initially are just for conceptual purposes. If your client has an interior designer or a kitchen designer that they want to work with, these are always great. You know, they tell us where outlets and things like that need to go, and just help with overall understanding the kind of layout and the design of the space. So I always put together a sheet that's got in a large floor plan, the kitchen elevations, at least all the primary ones, and then a little 3D axonometric that kind of complements everything there, so you can understand exactly what's happening in the kitchen. The rest of the spaces, sometimes I do that for the ensuite configuration, but these are fairly straightforward. I'm not super satisfied with how this is laying out here. The walk-in closet is getting kind of crammed, but we've got a lot of angles to negotiate, so it's not terrible. I'm gonna see what the client wants to do with that. I do have the powder room door opening into the dining area, which is also not probably preferred, but it did give a little more privacy to the family room area in this corridor here. So the bedrooms populated with a series of closets, again, multiple families visiting and staying, so breaking up a 8-foot wide closet into 2 4-foot sections for each room, and having 2 sets of bunk beds in each room gets us basically 8 beds, which is excellent. And then this was a large bathroom that sort of closed in with a large linen closet. So just rotating the 3D model around. One of the last things I did was I never like to take windows out of a design, but sometimes you just have to, and a TV fireplace area was desirable from the client's perspective, and this just made the best sense along this wall to have most accessibility, most visibility for, you know, in case you were throwing a party and it was a more casual dinner party, you'd be able to see the screen, watch a movie from multiple locations within this space. So I'm pretty pleased with the plan. I think everything's shaken up pretty nicely. One of the things that was not in our contract, but I thought would be probably a welcomed feature, was to sort of expand on the front entry by adding a new roof plane and extending the exterior walls. So you can see here I'm selecting the new exterior walls that would go up to this new roof plane and extending that out over a porch area. It's just with what was existing there, basically walking into a garage, it still sort of felt like you were walking into a garage. And when I turn on the site layers, you can see some of the, let's see here, site groundwork, some of the other features like a patio porch area that kind of wraps around with the columns. Just thought it added a little bit of a nice entry sequence, definitely more inviting than just walking into the low slope garage roof. So jumping inside, this is where the view is sort of looking like right now. The entry sequence off to the left, that corridor that steps up with a lower ceiling height and then opens out onto this large kitchen area with a large kitchen island. And then, you know, the main concept behind aligning that corridor or entry sequence there was so that you can walk in and look out these windows with an unobstructed view to the lake area and kind of a sitting area out there. Previously, the entry was located in this area, so you were sort of walking into a wall and a lot of conflicted area with furniture and things like that. So this makes a much nicer hallway sequence where you can look out with unobstructed views to the lake area. So the perspective views were turning out pretty nice. I'll hop over to some of the renderings and show you what those look like, but overall the interior space feels pretty comfortable. It's a large open space, but I think by dividing it up with the furniture pieces like this, it is working out quite nicely. It's got a cozy little sitting area over here that can fit a very nice sizable, you know, L-shaped sectional sofa. So I think it's gonna turn out to be a really nice remodel project. So I'm gonna hop over to some of our finished renderings. I have these sort of numbered in sequence. This is an overview, just an aerial view. Took a little bit of time to set up because usually with renderings like this you need to model in a lot of the surrounding area. And getting the lighting just right, having the right kind of backdrop. This is not photoshopped at all yet, but throwing a car in the foreground to sort of balance off the image felt appropriate. So then we drop down to the entry sequence. This shot is the one that I'm using for the front cover of my Deliverable package, which I think just showcases, you know, here's your new project, here's what your entry can look like. We'll get it priced out in an itemized bid from contractors and see if we can make that happen for you, since this is going to be, you know, the entry to your home. Then walking in, this sequence turned out, you know, even better than I expected it to. I love the step up and sort of the compressed ceiling zone before it opens up into the main space. So I can imagine, you know, the families walking in here, kind of dumping their bags after a long travel, throwing them in the closet, taking the shoes off, sitting on the bench, and even just kind of, you know, sitting on the bench and looking out this patio area felt pretty nice. So as we progress into the kitchen area, I always like to set up my kitchen shots, or just any rendering for that matter, and the interior especially, from sort of an elevational perspective. It makes the renderings look a little more elevated and elegant. So, and it kind of gives you a better sense of the overall composition, and you'll see in comparison to some of the angled shots what I'm talking about. But this turned out pretty nice. This again was sort of a first stab. I'm not sure if we're going to want to relocate that refrigerator wall, if it's a little too heavy at the end there, or if it provides sort of a nice conclusion and brings everything back into the center of the space. So as you rotate, you can see this is a great shot too, just in terms of an overview, but it's not quite as like architectural or elegant. It's just to give you an overall sense of the space as if you were walking through it. So same thing with this shot. It's just really to showcase everything, what it would feel like to have the table set up there. It's a large dining table with 12 seats. The island, I think, is 10 feet long, which is the total length of a slab, so that we're not using two slabs of granite or whatever countertop we choose for that. But again, this view is just a wide angle, I think like 90 field of vision, 90 degrees, to capture that seating area, the kitchen, and the dining area. But this one's obviously a little more elegant, just focusing in on what that dining experience would feel like if you were sitting here, just sort of looking straight on. And then last, this was just kind of a fun one I threw in there. The patio project and backyard project was sort of an extra, but we put it in just so we can get some itemized bids for that, so they can see if they want to do that in a future project. So another thing I like to provide for my clients is this 360 panoramic view. In Revit, there's an option to render these. It's just a selection for a stereo panoramic view. And if you have all the entourage already in there, you know, all the plates, dishes, lighting, and you're rendering still images anyway, it's a great little feature to add to your deliverable that, you know, helps architects and designers, I think, too, just to get a better sense of the space. And it's a nice little feature, actually. So for things like this, I don't think I would have taken a render necessarily from standing at the point of the faucet here, but I do in these 360 views just because people end up standing at the sink a lot and faucet and doing work. But like I had mentioned before, you know, one of the issues is these large mullions that are between these bay windows. And as you can see here, the sink and the faucet are lining up almost exactly with one of these kind of center structural mullions here. So, you know, it's so close that I would either just want to line it up on it and it becomes sort of a visual blockade, but you can look to the left or the right, or, you know, shift it completely so that we're not aligned on this. But other things it allows you to look at from a design perspective as a design tool are lighting alignments. You know, I always have the can lights sort of centered on the aisle with under cabinet lighting the countertop areas, but it helps you align some of those things and assess that from a 360 view. So with the floor plan, I typically, for construction documents, you'll see the new wall construction versus what was existing, but for presentation in terms of concept deliverables, I like to just put it on the final phase for show complete so that everything looks uniform and we're just looking at it holistically. It actually even helps even more to turn on the coarse layer. So for example, that's how I'm showing it in this view now, where the any cut through walls are just getting a nice dark shaded poche texture. Helps you really read the floor plan, especially from the client's perspective, a lot easier. So we have the floor plans, we have the 3D views of the floor plan, our renderings, and at this time for the deliverable I only had a handful of renderings to include, but I felt like the entry sequence was very important, obviously that exterior view. And then if we are making exterior improvements, you have to show exterior elevations. So we've got a sheet for our primary elevations, 3D view. Again, you've got the 3D model, so it really helps to just kind of load these into some of the drawings so that your clients can get a better understanding of what's happening overall. Just to repeat the exterior rendering again from a larger perspective, and then that kitchen drawing sheet that I had mentioned with the enlarged plan, primary elevations, and a little 3D axonometric view that just sort of dollhouse view gives you an idea of what's going on there. And last but not least, the money shot for the kitchen, because the kitchen appears to always be one of the primary concerns for most clients. So that's going to be it for today. That's our little project for this lake house remodel in Antioch, Illinois. I want to continue doing these videos. I think, you know, they're helpful, at least for me, to start documenting these projects, and for any clients, potential clients who are watching, listening, or architects who are looking to start their own practice. You know, just gives a better idea of the progress of what a project looks like from start to finish for these earlier design phases, all the way through to bid and permit documents, and then construction administration. So if you're watching any of these videos and you want to stay tuned, you'll start to see some of the projects that I've already showcased, or some new projects start to progress as they come on the screen time after time. And we'll walk through just what it looks like to be engaged with an architectural project from start to finish, from an architect's perspective and from a client's perspective. So thanks for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you guys back next time. Thanks.